You know, if someone asked me 5 years ago when I first attended my first Jobs for Life class, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I would have never guessed standing here today. 5 years ago, I would have introduced myself as Alice, but I can't do that tonight. My name is Rebecca Clark, and I'm happy to be here with you tonight. I was born and raised in Bartow. I was a good kid for the most part. Like a lot of people, my childhood was rough. When I was about 10 years old, I started having some behavioral problems in school. My drug use started at 13. It progressed pretty quickly, from smoking pot to doing meth at 15. Not being interested in school, obviously, and being introduced to other people that weren't making good decisions either, I continued down this road, becoming an IV drug user by the time I was 18. And then I got pregnant and had a child at 19. I was also arrested for the first time at 19. It was over a fight with her dad. That's the kind of stuff that happens when you make bad decisions. I was super naive, certainly wasn't ready to be a mother. I do think I realized that I wasn't making good decisions at that time, but I didn't know that it would progress to be 25 years of complete insanity. From starting with drugs at 13 to my last arrest at 38 years old, 25 years. Because of the lifestyle I was living and the poor choices I was making, this led to being arrested over 20 times. I was pretty good at being bad. There's a point in your addiction when it's not fun anymore. You believe so many lies about yourself and the world around you that you think you're just surviving. I knew what I was doing was not good for me, but I had lost so much hope that I just thought it didn't matter. And then that's how my life was going to be. I started believing that if it was bad for me, if it was stupid, if it was a bad decision, I was going to do it. Complete insanity, right? I thought I was too far gone to ever come back. But because I had such an amazing mother who took me to church when I was young and introduced me to the Lord, I believe that's why I walked through 25 years of addiction and came out on the other side. I think deep down I knew He was the answer. I just didn't know how to get there. It took me a long time to figure out. I just needed to surrender. The turning point to me was at my last arrest. I'd already been to jail once or twice that year, but I remember that this time there was this relief down in my spirit. I knew it was over. I didn't know exactly what that would look like or what it meant at the time, but I knew it was over. I was caught with a large amount of drugs, and now I was facing a prison sentence. I knew I was guilty, and I knew what I deserved. I think that accountability is something that the Lord can work with. I finally surrendered. And so, in His grace, He made another way for me. Instead of prison, He gave me the opportunity to go to a Christ-centered treatment program. I didn't trust anyone, but I knew God was asking me to trust Him, and so I did. It was the hardest thing I ever done, but it was the best thing I ever done. As I was learning to trust Him, I began to heal. You see, addicts need healing. We all do. I realized I wanted that same freedom and hope for other people. When I was leaving treatment and I was asking the Lord what my next steps were, He took me to the story in the Bible of the woman at the well. And He said to me, I want you to go back to your hometown, and I want you to tell them what I did for you so that I can do the same for them. Well, I didn't want to come back to Polk County. I've lived in 6 different states and in the Virgin Islands. I just wanted a fresh new start. I wanted to go where no one knew me. But I said, okay, Lord, You are sending me back to there for a reason, a purpose, and so I held on to that. I had nothing when I got out. I had lost everything. I had to start from scratch, just like Alice. I was on probation for the felony charge, and having that on my record was difficult. When I returned, I went into a transition home, and that's where I met Brad. He came to tell us about Jobs for Life. I knew it was time to get a job. It was time to become a member of society. Jobs for Life was a blessing to me. It was there that, again, the Lord showed me that He had a plan and a purpose for me. It was not too late for me. Besides the solid curriculum, the people that came and gave their time to us were amazing. Some of us had a rough background, but the champions didn't judge us for our past. They were the hands and feet of Jesus. If you've ever been a champion here today, I just want to thank you. I gained a lot of confidence in Jobs for Life. Confidence to go out and meet the world that I had avoided for so long. A couple years later, I was invited into the jail to give my testimony. It was the Life from the Heart class. This was a pivotal moment in the plan and purpose that God has for me. When you go to jail here, there's a walk that you have to take to get to the housing unit. Everyone coming into the jail takes this walk. But it is very different when you're an inmate. You are wearing handcuffs and shackles. When you're an inmate, sometimes you may take this walk a few times during your time there. Anytime you go to court and you're hopeful you may get released, or when you come back and realize you're not going anywhere. You're always handcuffed and shackled. Hope and freedom, well, that just isn't the case. A lot goes through your mind. Coming back in, I had to take that walk again. But this time, I walked without any handcuffs, without any shackles, and without any chains. I was bringing in the story of hope and freedom, and that's what they needed. It blew my mind. It was a beautiful moment with the Holy Spirit. And I kind of had this feeling that wasn't going to be my only visit to the jail. And now I visit regularly. We've also developed a class to help the women heal from the brokenness that the wounds that they carry. And I get to go in there and I get to share what the Lord has done for me. This is part of the reason He told me to come back here. I'm seeing in front of me what the Lord told me a long time ago. I see the hope in the ladies' faces. I've been a board member at H4WH Winter Haven for several years now. When I'm asked how it happened, the only answer is, I don't know. After I did my own Jobs for Life class, I continued to volunteer at H4WH Winter Haven as a champion. I wanted to help to be a part of the bigger picture. Plus, I like the people. That was 2019. 2 years later, Brad asked me if I would consider being a board member. And I was floored. I thought, a board member? And I asked him why. And he said, what better person than someone who's been where some of the people we're trying to reach have been? And that made sense to me. I am extremely grateful for H4WH Winter Haven. They're dear friends to me now. I'm thankful to be a part of something that's making such a difference in people's lives. They truly care. I was in a vulnerable position when I met Brad and started Jobs for Life. I've been a part of H4WH Winter Haven on both sides of it. I've seen it from both sides. Becoming a board member obviously allows me to see and hear the things that others don't. I was nervous at first about what I might find out about this group. I thought, am I really going to want to be a part of this? But I'm even more sure now about who they are and what they're doing. That's why I've stayed, because I see the real motive, and it is to give. It is to be the hands and feet of Jesus. I know it's a cliche to say this, but it is in the giving that we receive. Thank you, and happy birthday.